What's up, everybody? If you are thinking about buying a house within an HOA, you definitely need to see this video first. This is not your typical pros and cons video. I did one of those, you can check that out next. But in this video, I actually spoke to people who currently live within one or used to and really regret ever buying a house within an HOA. I'm not gonna mention any names because some of these situations are still ongoing and quite contentious, but I just thought you should have some empirical knowledge so you can make the best decisions for you and your family if you are willing to live within an HOA. So let's dive right in. Okay, so this first person who told me their story blew my mind. They told me that their HOA has banned residents from parking on the street. So you're thinking, we like our streets clear of cars as well. But here's the catch. Their garages were built so narrow that only small cars can actually fit in the garages. So now the residents who have cars that don't fit into their garage have to either sell their car or sell their house because of this new rule that they made. This is a true story. And it's not so easy to change these decisions once they're made. I've heard countless accounts of people being held hostage to rules a few power-crazed board members made without their input. And if you break the rules, you get fined. If you don't pay your fines, the HOA can put a lien on your house and eventually foreclose on it, at least here in Maryland. Let's move on to another complaint. This person told me that just last week, their HOA implemented a new rule that said they would get fined if they brought their trash out to the street before 7 p.m. the night before and didn't bring it inside by 7 p.m. the next day. And once again, you may think this sounds reasonable, but think about it. In my house, for example, we have dinner around 6:30, then it's homework, and in my case, I usually have more work to do, and then I just want to take a bath and get into bed. I start my day super early like a lot of you do, and I really don't feel like waiting till after dinner to then go to take the trash out to the street. I just want to do it when I get home before I start making dinner. And add some bad weather to it, like we're experiencing now, and it's a nightmare. It's dark after 7, I'm already out of work clothes, making dinner, and I don't want to go back outside. So it's a big no for me. Other people don't even get home before 7 o'clock, so how are they supposed to bring the trash back inside the next day? We're all adults, just trying to live our lives. Doesn't this now sound unreasonable? How about this story? These people were building a fire pit in their backyard, and the neighbor behind them sent them a letter stating they had to get their 3 closest neighbors to sign off on it or cease to build. They decided to ignore the neighbor and continue to make the fire pit, so we'll see what happens next. It just sounds so intrusive. And this was after they had to give their pet chickens away. Just FYI, the chickens were gone before the fire pit. This is not that video. So this next person told me she simply wanted to plant a tree in her front yard, but needed the HOA's permission to do that, to simply plant a tree. And this is no joke. Their association does a visual inspection of the front of their house every 2 years. And if they see something they don't like, she gave me an example of peeling paint on a fence, they are obligated to fix it and then report back to the association once they've done so. And they will send you multiple letters with a very nasty tone, she told me, if you are out of compliance, and then they'll fine you. They told me in one incident, a water main break caused flooding in 5 homes in the basement, and the vice president's home was one of them. The VP later told this person that these are the perks of being on the board. She made sure the remediation began with her home. It soon became apparent to them that in order to have a repair request addressed or even be considered, one had to be on the HOA board. This last story is a bit different. They had a property in a condo building that was approached by Sprint to install a cell phone tower atop the building. The building is 11 stories in a smaller city, not in the DMV, and would be the perfect location for a cell tower. The newer towers are smaller and you wouldn't see them from the ground. Sprint would then pay the association rent to use the roof. They'd also maintain the roof and fix any issues with the roof as their equipment would be on the roof. Sprint would want a multi-year deal. Could be something like 10 years. They thought it was good for Sprint and the association in that it's guaranteed monthly revenue. And Sprint improves their service. And a roof's expensive to fix. The roof at the time was nearing its time of replacement. A bunch of the older residents didn't want the tower. They thought it would cause illness or possibly cancer. Now, I'm gonna pause here and say, I have no idea if cell phone towers on top of roofs cause illness or cancer. You all have to Google that yourself to find out. The story continues that the older residents won the vote and Sprint moved on, never to be heard from again. Then maybe 2 years later, the roof had massive leaks and caused a lot of damage on the units on the top 2 floors. They ended up having to get the roof done twice. The first time it wasn't done correctly by a contractor that they thought had an inside deal with their association's president. So then they had to get it done a second time to replace the roof that replaced the first roof. They had to get a loan to get the new roof. They had special assessments on all of them, and it just got really, really expensive. Now, whether you're on the side of the residents who didn't want the roof because they were afraid of illness, or you're on the side of the residents who did want it and they wanted the income, the money, and they didn't want to have to actually spend the money, they ended up spending it, is irrelevant. Because either way, somebody loses. And if it's you and you're concerned for your health, meaning you're one of the older residents and you lost, then you're gonna be scared. Or if you're one of the other residents and all of a sudden you don't have money, this extra money to replace this roof, and you would have actually gotten income from the roof, then you're gonna be mad. It all just sounds really stressful and really disruptive. And don't forget, it's not only about if something gets broken, but a lot of times it's simply about deferred maintenance. Some associations wait so long to get things fixed that they pile on top, and then you have to get a lot of things fixed at the same time, which can cost a lot of money. So then they either do a special assessment, or they raise their monthly dues, or they have to get a loan. As a homeowner, I want to decide what maintenance I'm going to do on my home, on my budget, and in my timeline. But when you live in an association, all of these terms can be dictated to you. You just don't have a choice. It can kind of feel like a ticking time bomb on what's going to happen next. I can go on and on with more true stories, true examples, because people really came out and told me a lot of stuff, but I think you get the gist. You're at the mercy of the HOA and their rules and regulations, and their fees, and their assessments. And if you don't pay them, like I said, at least here in Maryland, you could get foreclosed on. It also sounds like a lot of these HOA boards, especially the officials, get a little power crazy and can really cause a lot of disruption. So if you want more control over your home, and it sounds like your sanity, you may want to avoid buying a home in an HOA. But let me know what you guys think. If you live in one currently or have lived in one, comment below, tell us your story. Because when I heard all these people telling me their stories, I was actually blown away. I didn't realize it could get that bad. Hope you got some value to today's video. If you did, and you want to show our channel some support, just smash that like button and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Bye.